being another very well-steeped cup of tea.
We will wait with bated breath.
Well, definitely send it to us, and you have an open invitation to come back.
You are absolutely some of the most generous ladies on the air, you know.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. And if you need a partner to go on a cruise, just think of us. We can be packed and ready to go.
Anytime.
Thank you again, Cathy, for visiting with us, and we wish you all the best in this next year.
Thank you very much indeed, and I'm absolutely delighted that you enjoyed The Wrong Boy and that you enjoyed Dark Twisty Tales.
Thank you, Cathy. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Next, we have a highlight of the trilogy, the Wright Tran trilogy by Ian Andrews. Ian was born in Belfast and grew up in Northern Ireland. At 18, he fulfilled his ambition and joined the Royal Air Force. In the later days of the Cold War, he became a commissioned intelligence officer. And after 20 years of service, his last tour of duty was as an instructor in the Defense Intelligence School. He retired from the military and relocated to Western Australia, where he established a management training company, and then he began to write books. He lives in the idyllic surrounds of Western Australia's southwest. When stumped for his next chapter, he gazes out of his study window at the serenity of a beautiful estuary and the slightly mad antics of a resident mob of kangaroos.
That sounds like...
I wish I had kangaroos to look at out the window.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Better than squirrels.
No, don't get me started.
Or deer.
You have evil deer, I have evil squirrels. Kathy has evil mice.
We're all haunted by something. I'm highlighting the fascinating Wright Tran trilogy by Ian Andrews. It's a series I would categorize as thriller or espionage more than mystery, but it has a twist. The protagonists are both women. They're ex-military intelligence. They use their training in the military to work and uncover some very evil and terrible crimes.
Are they like private detectives now?
Yes, they have a private investigative firm. First and foremost, I want to state I'm not a big fan of military intelligence books. They just aren't my thing. But as I got into these stories and met the protagonists, I was won over very quickly. I did read Fall Guys first, and that's the last in the trilogy. And that made me want to go back and read the others, and I'm very glad that I did. The books are very well written, and the action is edge of your seat, so you have to keep reading. And with that, the relationship between the two protagonists is one that most people wish they had. A person who trusts and is trusted unquestionably by the other is a rare thing in today's world. And the characters mesh together flawlessly. When asked about his character creations, the author said he was frustrated by crime stories that always use women as secondary roles. When he worked in intelligence, he said that the women operators fulfilled every role imaginable. So he developed his series based on two former female intelligence officers. Kara Wright is a determined and ruthless woman who's incredibly capable in her job, but who lacks any empathy or much of a conscience. She's dangerous to the point of hindering her own effectiveness and potentially an unlikable person. But then her partner, Tien Tran, is a first-generation Vietnamese-British woman, and she's the yin to Kara's yang. She's the braver of the two, and she has a deep and fascinating backstory. The author says he wanted to give refugees and immigrants a role in the stage on society. If you give refugees and immigrants a generation, most of those kids will become the core service providers of society. Police, military, firefighters, doctors, and nurses will be drawn from the kids who are encouraged to get an education and a worthwhile career by parents who sacrifice so much for them.
It's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. The author developed storylines that unfortunately come from today's headline. The first book, Face Value, which also won the Publishers Weekly Book Life Award, was based on the vast numbers of people who are trafficked each year. The book looks into the individual drivers, security, and the little people who entice or even kidnap victims to line the pockets of the big people at the top. The book, Flight Path, revolves around a pedophile ring, and the story goes into the author's fascination of how these worst of all criminals come to know each other, make their introductions, and how they work together to keep their organizations going. And then the final book so far is Fall Guys. It revolves around the Middle East. The author says he wondered what the public's reaction would be if soldiers, instead of carrying your normal AK-47s and familiar weapons, started carrying weapons that were made by the British or the English. How would a deal be brokered with the likes of ISIS? And, of course, you have two badass women on the crook's tail with the assistance of a small group of very smart and intelligent workers, and they get the job done. The author decided to self-publish his books instead of waiting for a mainstream publisher to get around to it. He's hoping for a snowball to avalanche effect with word of mouth creating increased readership. I think these books are very well worth reading. Hope the trilogy will grow into a full series. They are very well done.
Well, it sounds like with 3 books, it is a full series.
Yeah. Well, he could have ended it there, but I think there's room for a lot more growth. And I certainly will read any more that I see published.
Oh, well, that's a big endorsement from you, especially being what type of book it is.
Yeah,
because you definitely went outside your comfort zone.
I did, and I'm glad I did. I would not have picked these books if they hadn't been submitted to us. These books can be purchased on Amazon or on his website, which is ianandrewauthor.com.
Very good.
That's my review.
Wow, and it was something.
Yeah. Now, Cathy is going to highlight the book River of Secrets.
I like the title.
Yes.
River of Secrets is the second in the Wallace Hartman Mystery series by Roger Johns. He is a former corporate lawyer and retired college professor with law degrees from Louisiana State University and Boston University. During his nearly 2 decades as a professor, he served on the editorial staffs of several academic publications, and he won numerous awards and recognitions for his teaching and his scholarly writing. Roger was born and raised in Louisiana. He and his wife Julie now live in Georgia. And as I said, he has started a series. This is only the second. I'm sure he has plans of more to come, of the Wallace Hartman mystery. And Wallace Hartman is a homicide detective in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It starts out with Louisiana State Senator Herbert Marionneau was strangled in his own home the night before a press conference. The DNA of Eddie Pitkin, who is the half-brother of Craig Stevens, Wallace's childhood best friend. He gives Eddie a possible alibi where Wallace is tracking down that alibi to try to see if Eddie is truly innocent. She's walking a fine line because this is a very close connection to her through his brother. She's got to kind of watch her P's and Q's as she's detecting the alibi for Eddie. Wallace is threatened several times as she chases down the alibi. It leads down a rabbit hole with a possible leak in the police department. So she's also kind of clandestinely.
So is Wallace a woman?
Wallace is a woman.
Oh, okay. That was what I was a little confused about because never heard Wallace used this.
Maybe it's a last name?
No, it's Wallace Hartman. Wallace is
okay.
his first name. I don't recall the author explaining Wallace's name. Maybe he
Parents
did.
must have wanted a boy. Okay.
There's a lot going on in this book. The victim, the Senator Herbert Marionneau, he is a former segregationist, but he claims to have changed his ways.
Sounds like it could be written today.
Oh, many of the themes in this book do come from today's headlines. There's a lot of racial tension. Eddie Pitkin is a black man, and he's a activist who is trying to get reparation for families of former slaves in Louisiana. And it's a hot button issue. A lot of people want Eddie to be guilty. A lot of people want Herbert Martineau out of the picture because he claims to have changed his ways, but does he really? Of course, he is a politician, so who knows what they really think. I think this was a very well thought out plot, good character development. The author sets up a lot of interesting relationships going on, especially between the women. Wallace's mother and she are both widows. So there's a lot of background story that he works through in the whole story about Wallace's mother learning to move on with her life, and then Wallace is learning to move on with her own life. She's got a new relationship she's working on with a former DEA agent. And then there's also a woman partner who is new to Wallace, and she doesn't really care for this girl too much. Yeah, there's some tension, some interesting relationship situations going on. Just, it was very well developed. Besides the mystery itself, the whole background story, it's clearly leading to a continuation of the series to see where things do develop.
Does it take place in Baton Rouge? Is it one of those kind of typical now mysteries that take place in the bayou?
The alibi for Eddie, as a matter of fact, does put him in the bayou. She is visiting like a small town in the area trying to see whether he was actually out in this fishing.
So it encompasses the whole
area.
Parts of the whole area.
But the murder itself takes place in Baton Rouge, and the characters are all residents of Baton Rouge. I would say it was mainly a Baton Rouge book, which is a very nice area. I've been there.
Well worth reading.
It is. I enjoyed it very much. And there was quite a twist at the end. I don't want to give it away.
Don't give it away.
We like twists, especially when they're well plotted.
The perpetrator was pretty much a surprise at the end. And I do like when I can't guess the end of a mystery. Just like Ian's book, there were a lot of strong women characters.
I like to see that.
I do too.
The day of the fainting woman on the couch. Oh, my stars and garters.
Stars and garters.
Give me the vapors. Those days hopefully are gone. Literature.
It's not that women can't be victims.
Victims every day.
A woman can be a victim just as much as a man can be a victim, as long as the people solving the crime, that there is an equal amount of women.
Right.
And it seems to be, as we're going down this path, reading these books, that I am very impressed with the amount of women that are included in these books, and from a lot of male writers, which is very nice to see.
So you can find out about Roger John's series, Wallace Hartman, at rogerjohnsbooks.com.
Simple and easy.
Yep.
Very. That was a lot in one episode.
Well, we hope we gave you some options of books to check out. You've got 3 new authors to check out. For any of our new listeners, make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can visit with you every week. We really enjoy visiting with you.
Well, you can find out all about this episode's authors on our website at itwasadarkandstormybookclub.com. We will have all of their information in the show notes. You can check out all of our episodes. You can join our newsletter list. You can email us. You can do all sorts of things on our website. So give it a visit.
Yes. And we thank you for listening, and we hope you will join us next time when we review the books of
Peggy Townsend.
Yes, and we look forward to that interview, and we'll see you next time. And remember,
and a belated happy birthday to J.R.R. Tolkien, whose birthday was on January 23rd.
Keep those hobbits coming.
Should we tell her? He's dead.
Don't break my heart. All right.
We'd also like to do a shout out to a new friend of ours, to Liz Decker, who is the owner with her husband. And the name of the bookstore is, you can say it a couple different ways, but we're going to go with Caprico Books.
Capricho.
It's located in my town of Bel Air, Maryland. It's the neatest little store. It's mostly used books, but she can pretty much get you whatever you need. And she has some neat author crafts, and she has events, and we're going to be spending a lot of time up there.
It's a great place to spend an afternoon, especially if it's going to snow. You need a good book to curl up.